You spend your entire life believing that happiness is somewhere down the road, when you have more money, when you find the love of your life, when you land your dream job, when you finally buy the house you've always wanted. It seems like happiness is always a reward after much effort, something that must be achieved, as if it were a prize reserved for the few. But there's a harsh and shocking truth. This is a big lie. And this is exactly where I want you to pay attention, because what you're about to hear could turn your head upside down. Most people spend years chasing this illusion, and when they achieve what they dreamed of, they discover that the emptiness remains, just as it was. Have you ever noticed this? People who have fame, money, status, but live unhappy, anxious, and dissatisfied. This happens because we've been deceived about the true meaning of happiness. It's not what you think. Alan Watts said that the more you treat happiness as a goal, the further away it becomes. It seems absurd, but it's reality. And here's the twist. Your beliefs about happiness are distorted, and today you'll find out why. This video won't bring you fancy phrases or empty promises. It'll show you a different, direct, almost uncomfortable way of looking at life, but one that can radically change the way you view happiness. So stick with me until the end, because what follows could be the answer you've been searching for years. Now you understand. Happiness isn't an unattainable goal. It's available to you here and now, and this shift has already begun within you. This content opened your mind to something no one has ever explained so clearly, and that's why it makes sense for you to reciprocate this transformation by supporting this channel. Like this video and subscribe now, because each new content will continue to expand this vision, bringing answers that can truly change your life. Also, leave your like and subscribe so more people can access this powerful truth and experience the same change you're feeling now. You know, when you hear someone say that happiness is a matter of time, that all you have to do is achieve this or that to finally feel complete. This is the illusion that haunts almost everyone. It's as if life were a race with no clear finish line, where you always believe that the next achievement will be the one that will change everything. But the reality is very different. Happiness isn't at a fixed point up ahead. It's not a trophy you win. After years of striving for it, happiness is a state, and either you learn to experience it now, or you'll spend your whole life chasing something that never arrives. When you think of happiness as a goal, you create a problem. You set a condition for feeling good. I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy when I meet someone special. I'll be happy when I achieve my dream career. Notice that the verb is always the same. When. And this when never ends. Because when you get there, another target always appears, another step, another promise of happiness. It's like trying to satisfy your hunger with food that never satisfies you. You eat, but soon you're empty again. This cycle is not only tiring, it's also dangerous, because it makes you believe that you're still not enough, that there's always something missing to be happy. Alan Watts talked about this provocatively. The more you chase happiness, the further away it becomes. And this makes sense. Think of someone trying to forcefully fall asleep. The more they try, the harder it becomes to fall asleep. The same thing happens with happiness. The more effort, expectation, and pressure you put into it, the further you distance yourself from your own feelings. Happiness is like an unexpected guest, appearing when you least force the situation. And that's why you've often experienced happy moments without realizing it. A lunch with friends, a silly laugh that escaped out of nowhere, a moment of silence where you felt peace for no reason. In those moments, you weren't chasing anything, just living in the moment. That's the secret. Happiness isn't about having, but about being. It's a state of presence, of acceptance, of living in the now without so much pressure. But this requires unlearning what we've been taught since childhood, because we grow up believing that everything is about goals, about achieving, about winning. In school, you learn that you need to get good grades to be someone. Then they tell you that you need to get a good job, then save money, buy things, build a fortune. All of this is important, of course, but it has nothing to do with happiness. It has to do with external achievements, and if you tie happiness to that, it will slip through your fingers. How many times have you achieved something that seemed like the pinnacle, only to realize days later that the feeling had passed? You can think of a similar situation now. I'm sure it's happened. Share with me in the comments what that achievement was that seemed like the key to happiness, but ended up becoming just another milestone. Write the word state in the comment to show that you understand that happiness is not a destination, but a state of being. This exchange will help you reinforce this truth and also show others that they are not alone in this quest. And here's something even more interesting. When you understand that happiness is a state, you no longer depend on external things to feel good. This doesn't mean you'll give up on your dreams or stop wanting a better life. On the contrary, it means you'll start walking more lightly, because you won't have to wait until you get there to be happy. You can be happy while you're on the path. This lifts a huge weight off your shoulders and completely changes the way you see life. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. No one suddenly wakes up enlightened thinking, okay, now I'm happy because I decided to be. It's not like that. But it's a process of training, of perception. Every time you stop conditioning your happiness to something future and start connecting with the present, you take a step on that path. It could be on a walk, paying attention to the wind. It could be in a sincere conversation with someone. It could even be washing the dishes without your head full of 1,000 worries. The point is, happiness doesn't need justification. It exists in the state in which you simply allow it to be. And this idea, though, simple, is incredibly powerful because it breaks the logic of deserving happiness only after something. You already deserve it now. You can feel it now. But for some people, this idea is uncomfortable because it takes away control. We like to think we control everything, that we can plan every detail, but when it comes to happiness, this control is just an illusion. And in the next point, that's precisely what we'll talk about. The deception of control and how this need to control everything is precisely what keeps you from the happiness you so desperately seek. Have you ever noticed that almost everyone believes they'll only be happy when they have everything under control? It seems like life needs to be organized in every detail to finally make sense. We want control over the future, over people, over outcomes, even over things that never depended on us. It's as if we're programmed to believe that the more we plan and anticipate, the more secure we'll feel, and consequently, the happier we'll be. But this is one of the mind's biggest traps. The quest for control doesn't bring happiness, it brings anxiety. And that's why, the more you try to hold everything together, the more life slips through your fingers. The problem is that control seems logical. You think, if I organize my routine, plan my career, take care of my health, and maintain my relationships, nothing will go wrong. But the reality is, the world doesn't work that way. All it takes is one unexpected event, one misinterpreted word, a piece of unexpected news, and everything changes overnight. And then what happens? You feel like you've lost your footing because you thought you had control of the situation. It's like trying to control the sea with your hands. No matter how hard you try, the wave will always break its way. Alan Watts used to be very provocative about this. He said that the desperate effort to control life is precisely what prevents you from living it. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because while you're trying to predict every move, calculate every risk, you're not present. You're just stuck trying to prevent something from going off script. But life has no script. Life is movement. It's unpredictable. It's full of twists and turns you can't see from afar. And that's precisely what makes it real. When you insist on controlling too much, you end up suffocating the experience itself. Think about how many times you've wanted something to go exactly your way, and when it didn't, you were frustrated. But then over time you realized it turned out even better than you'd planned. This shows that control is a dangerous illusion. It gives you a sense of security, but it exacts the price of your freedom to live. It's like walking down a road looking only at the map and never at the landscape. You may reach your destination, but you've missed all the beauty of the journey. The worst part is that this obsession with control not only drives away happiness, it also creates suffering, because nothing in life is fixed. People change, situations change, you yourself change. So trying to hold everything in a box is like trying to hold back the wind. And that's where anxiety, frustration, and fear of the future arise. Because deep down you know you'll never have 100% control. And as uncomfortable as it may be to admit, it's also liberating. Because when you let go of this need to control, you open up space to live. And look, I'm not saying you should abandon responsibilities or let your life run wild. Planning is important, as is taking care of your own affairs. The point is not to confuse planning with absolute control. You can prepare, but you need to be open to the unexpected. It's often in the unexpected that lies the happiness you never planned for. A chance encounter, an opportunity that comes out of nowhere, a change that seemed bad but turned out to be a blessing. These things weren't in your plan, but they transformed your life. And, you know what's funny? Many people only understand this after experiencing an out-of-control situation, an illness, a loss, a failure, something that derails all their plans. It's painful, but it's also a reality check. In those moments, you discover that life was never in your hands as you thought. And paradoxically, it's in this recognition that a strange peace is born, because you realize you no longer have to carry the burden of controlling everything, you can simply live. Now, to make sure, you're really following comment on the word flow down here. This word perfectly sums up what we've been talking about. Living in the flow, embracing movement, letting go of excess control. This simple act of commenting will cement in you the idea that happiness doesn't depend on holding on but on letting go. And here's something even more important. When you understand that control is an illusion, you begin to see life differently. And this new perspective paves the way for something fundamental, one that can completely change your way of living, stopping rushing as if life were a race and starting to see it as something much lighter, something you participate in without needing to get anywhere. Have you ever noticed how most people live as if life were a race? Always looking ahead, always in a hurry, always believing that happiness lies somewhere at the finish line. The problem is, that finish line never comes. Because when you achieve something, another goal soon appears. And then another, and so on. It's like running on a treadmill. You push yourself, you get tired, but you stay in the same place. Alan Watts said something that breaks this logic. Life is not a race. It's a dance. And this simple comparison changes everything. Think about how you react when you hear a song you like. You don't wait for it to end before enjoying it, right? The fun is in following every note, letting yourself be carried away by the rhythm, feeling the beat in your body. Music wasn't made to get to the end. It was made to be lived in the process. Life is exactly like that. It's not about rushing through phases to reach the happy ending, but about being present in every step of the dance. The problem is, we forget this. Instead of dancing, we're always counting the seconds like someone looking at a watch during a concert, instead of paying attention to what's happening on stage. And that's one of the reasons so many people feel lost, because the race never lets up. There's always an extra challenge, an extra pressure, a goal that seems definitive, but it isn't. Happiness lies along the way, in the details, in the moments when you allow yourself to live without worrying about what comes next. It's in the leisurely breakfast, the unexpected laugh with a friend, even that silly conversation that seemed unimportant but remains etched in your memory. These moments are part of the dance, but often you don't appreciate them because your eyes are fixed on the finish line that never appears. Now think with me. If life were truly a race, what would the ultimate prize be? Would it be death? Because if the logic is to live to get somewhere, everyone's destination is the same. So does it make sense to spend your entire life running towards something you already know how it ends? That's where the metaphor of dance becomes so powerful. Because in a dance, there is no ultimate goal. No one dances to finish quickly. People dance to savor every movement, to feel the moment. And when you live like this, each day stops being an obligation and becomes an opportunity to experience. Of course, living this way doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities. Everyone needs to work, pay bills, and take care of problems. The difference lies in how you approach them. Even obligations have a rhythm that can be lived more lightly when you understand that you don't need to turn everything into a race. Have you ever noticed how some people, even with busy schedules, seem more relaxed? They've discovered the secret. It's not about running faster, it's about learning to dance amidst the chaos. And here comes an important reflection. When was the last time you simply enjoyed something without thinking about what would come next? You just enjoyed the moment for the moment. It's worth stopping and remembering that now, and take the opportunity to comment below with the word dance, because this word will mark this learning within you. Writing this is like a silent commitment that you will not treat life as an endless race, but as a dance that must be lived step by step. And maybe you're thinking, okay, I get that life is a dance, but how can I put it into practice if everyone's pressuring me, if things always seem out of control? Well, that's exactly where the next point comes in, because there's something that sabotages this experience and that almost no one realizes: attachment. It's the attachment to things, to people, to expectations, that steals the lightness of the present. And that's what we're going to talk about now, because without letting go of these attachments, you'll never be able to truly dance. One of the biggest reasons people suffer is attachment. And when I talk about attachment, I'm not just talking about material things, but also about ideas, people, expectations, and even versions of ourselves that no longer exist. Attachment creates a dangerous illusion that you need to hold on tightly to everything you have to maintain your happiness. But in practice, the more you try to hold on, the heavier everything becomes. It's like carrying a suitcase full of rocks, thinking you can't continue your journey without it. But this suitcase doesn't protect you. It tires you out. You've probably experienced this before. Maybe you've kept clothes you never wear again, but can't bring yourself to donate them because what if you need them one day? Maybe you've been stuck in a relationship that no longer made sense, but the fear of losing it made you persist more than you should. Or perhaps you continue to blame yourself for something that's already past, but it still weighs on your conscience. All of this is attachment. And the worst part is that attachment doesn't protect, it imprisons. You become trapped in the past or dependent on a future that doesn't yet exist, and you lose precisely what you have most valuable, the present. Alan Watts talked a lot about this trap. He said that life is movement and that trying to fix everything is like trying to freeze a river in full flow. That's what attachment is, trying to stop what by nature needs to flow. People come and go, situations change, achievements lose their shine, even you're not the same as yesterday, and yet you insist on holding on. But happiness isn't in holding on, but in letting go, because when you let go, you make room for the new to enter. It's like cleaning a messy room. At first it might be hard work. It might even feel like throwing some things away. But when you're done, you notice that the air circulates better, that the room feels lighter. And here's something many people confuse. Detachment doesn't mean abandonment or neglect. It's not about leaving everything behind and living without responsibility. It's simply about not turning anything into a prison. You can love someone, but you don't need to try to control them. You can have a dream, but you don't need to make it your sole condition for happiness. You can have possessions, but without becoming a slave to them. Detachment is freedom. It's understanding that things can change, and yet you remain whole. And when you let go, something magical happens. You discover that happiness was there all along, but hidden beneath the weight of attachment. It exists in the present, in the moment you're living now, not in the past that's already gone, nor in the future you can't control. It's here and now. It's in this moment when you breathe, think, feel, hear these words. This is the only point where life truly happens. The rest is memory or expectation. Now tell me, isn't it funny how we spend so much time trying to control tomorrow or dwelling on yesterday when all we really have is today? Just realizing this can help you release some of the weight you're carrying, and to cement this idea within yourself, write the word now in the comments. This simple gesture will serve as a reminder that happiness isn't about holding on to the past or waiting for the future, but about living in the present consciously and lightly. And it is precisely this awareness that prepares us to understand something even deeper. Because, after letting go of attachment and opening to the present, a new perspective emerges, that everything in life is impermanent, and that happiness depends not on having control over it, but on participating lightly. And to explain this in a way that makes even more sense, Alan Watts used an image that is impossible to forget. Life as a preparation for something greater, where every moment, including solitude, has a hidden purpose. After everything you've heard so far, you can see that the true meaning of happiness has nothing to do with what most people believe. It's not about having the perfect life, full of achievements, money, and recognition. It's not about desperately chasing goals that seem to multiply every time you get close to one. Happiness isn't a destination reserved for when everything is in order. It's a state of being, a way of living in the present, even with all the ups and downs that life brings. It's liberating to realize this, because you begin to see that you don't have to wait for anything to allow yourself to be happy. You don't have to wait for the right job, the right relationship, the right body, the right house. Of course, these things are good and can improve your life, but your happiness doesn't depend on them. You can live happily now, in the simple act of being here, of breathing, of laughing, of sharing moments that cost nothing. When you understand this, you stop negotiating your peace with impossible conditions. The problem is that we've been taught to believe that happiness is a consequence of success, as if it were a reward. But the truth is exactly the opposite. When you find happiness in the present, success becomes more natural because you act without the pressure of needing to be happy in the future. This shift changes everything. Instead of living anxiously about controlling every detail, you begin to live with more lightness, more presence, more authenticity. And this directly impacts how you relate to people, how you face challenges, and how you enjoy every moment of your life. Think about the times you were with someone you loved and for a few minutes forgot all your worries. Wasn't that when you felt true happiness? It didn't come from something grand, but from something simple, because happiness isn't found in big, distant things, but in the small moments we tend to overlook. And when you start to appreciate these, everything around you begins to change. Even difficulties seem smaller, because you're no longer running around desperately, you're living. Of course, this requires practice. It requires breaking old habits, stopping conditioning your life to when and if. But each time you bring your mind to the now and release the weight of attachment and control, you take another step in that direction. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. It's like learning to dance. At first you may feel stuck, but over time, you begin to feel the rhythm and simply flow. It's exactly the same with happiness. You've noticed how this content has opened your mind to seeing happiness in a completely different way, simpler and at the same time more powerful. This clarity has already begun to transform the way you look at your life, and now you can repay this change by helping others find the same path. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Transformation. This gesture allows more people to receive this truth that touched you today. And the best part is that the journey doesn't stop here. The next video appearing on your screen will take this discovery to an even deeper level, revealing truths that can further change your way of life. Click now and continue this journey. What comes next is even more impactful.